So what if AI could do more than just, answer our trivia questions? What if it could actually lend a hand to some of the most vulnerable kids in our society? Well, a new study out of Central Europe looked at exactly that. And honestly, the results are pretty eye-opening. Let's dive in. Right off the bat, we're hit with this question. It sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, doesn't it? But it's the real central question this research tackles. Can an algorithm actually provide genuine support in a world that so desperately needs that human touch? But before we can even talk about the technology's role, we have to understand who it was for. We're talking about children growing up in residential care systems, and their situation is, well, it's tough. As the research makes really clear, especially in parts of Central and Eastern Europe, these kids face this uphill battle every single day. They're often cut off from the rest of society and really struggle to get the kind of emotional and educational support that they need to just thrive. And that's where our story really begins. An international project designed to bring these kids together, help them feel included, and build some really crucial life skills. It was all about creating a positive, supportive space for them. But here's the thing. This whole project almost fell apart. A completely unexpected crisis forced the organizers to think way outside the box and turn to a very unlikely assistant. Okay, so picture this. Everything's planned, and then right at the last minute, several teams have to cancel. Their spots get filled by a group of Ukrainian children, kids who'd been displaced by war. I mean, what an amazing chance for inclusion, right? But for the organizers, it was a complete logistical nightmare. They had practically zero time to change everything. All their materials, for a new language, a totally different culture, and crucially, for kids who were dealing with some very recent, very serious trauma. So what on earth could they do? They turned to AI. Specifically, ChatGPT. The bet was that an AI could work way faster and be more dynamic than a traditional team of translators and consultants, giving them a fighting chance to be ready when the kids arrived. Now, this wasn't just a case of plugging in some fancy new tech and hoping for the best. The entire philosophy behind the research was built on a very specific and very human foundation. This diagram here really gets to the heart of it. The method they used, participatory action research, basically means you don't treat people like subjects under a microscope. It's all about collaboration. It's about working with the kids and the staff as equal partners, creating things together and making sure everyone's voice and experience is respected. So the big question is, how did they actually use AI in a way that supported this super collaborative, human-first approach? Well, the answers are actually way more practical and down-to-earth than you might think. And this is what I find so fascinating. The AI wasn't just doing one thing. Look at this. It was performing this whole suite of different support jobs, all designed to help the human staff do their jobs better, especially under that crazy time crunch. The AI really became a jack of all trades, like a digital Swiss Army knife for the teen. I mean, sure, it did instant translations, but it also helped tweak activities to make them culturally relevant for the Ukrainian kids. It brainstormed workshop ideas that were sensitive to trauma. It even helped draft reports and fine-tune communications to be more emotionally aware. But honestly, one of its most surprising jobs was in the dining hall. That's right, menu evaluation. It sounds like such a tiny detail, doesn't it? But in this context, it turned out to be a total game changer. So the researchers actually had the AI scan the whole menu to see if it lined up with Ukrainian food culture and dietary habits. This small act of making the food familiar created this incredible sense of emotional safety. It was like a nonverbal message to these kids that said, hey, we see you, we respect where you come from, you belong here. And that was absolutely critical for building trust right from the get-go. So yeah, the experiment was a huge success in a crisis. But the researchers were also really careful to look at the bigger picture. What are the real lessons here about using AI in such a delicate and important field? What they found is this real tension. On one side, you have this incredible potential. AI can help personalize learning, make things more efficient for overworked staff, and boost inclusivity, just like we saw here. But the flip side is just as real. You've got the risk of bias, of losing that essential human connection, and of leaning too heavily on a tool that is, let's be honest, far from perfect. And they were super specific about those imperfections. The AI, it just couldn't quite grasp the subtleties of human emotion. It would make grammatical mistakes with complex Slavic languages, and if you gave it a really emotionally heavy topic, it would often spit out these generic, almost robotic responses. Every single time,
It needed a human being to watch over it, to catch the mistakes and make corrections. And that really brings us to the single most important takeaway from all of this. The goal can never, ever be to replace the human caregivers. The point has to be to use technology as a tool that empowers them to do their incredibly difficult jobs even better. The study's own conclusion just says it perfectly. AI should be an enabling tool that helps people respond more effectively. It's about augmenting human capability, not trying to automate human compassion. And that leaves all of us with a really big question for the future, doesn't it? This study was an amazing proof of concept, showing how AI can be a powerful force for good. But as this tech gets woven deeper and deeper into our lives, how do we make sure we design it to support our most vulnerable? Not as a substitute for human care, but as a tool to make that care even stronger.